my career was going good or my relationship was going good. And I would think, why can't they both be good at the same time? Ooh, come on in.
Let's get down and dirty.
The totally unfiltered, honest.
Up to my brain.
I love your brain.
Stall talk.
Stall talk.
Y'all ready?
So it's back in the stall. It's Jenny Lee.
And Cassandra. We're so excited to be back here. Well, I am. Especially after this week.
You've had it rough, huh, girlfriend?
Girl, I don't even know where to start. So basically, as you know, I've been trying to move out and figure out where I'm going, especially now that we're filming all the time. I was thinking of moving closer to LA. You know, I live in Long Beach, which is still LA, but like LA.
Right.
I was trying to become a little closer, and I was telling my roommates about it, and they were super excited for me, but there is 3 of us, so we kind of had to make arrangements. And since I was planning on moving out, they went and toured some 2-bedroom apartments, and from the place that they liked, they happened to not have any available during the time that we were planning to move, like April, May. Right. They had 1 apartment available in 3 days. 3 days.
Oh.
Yep.
So
I got taken off the lease early. They got to move into their new apartment, and now I'm literally living like my car is just packed full of stuff. I have stuff in a friend's house and nowhere to go currently. I have not figured out my new living situation, but I'm trying to stay positive. I really am, but right after we finish shooting today, I am taking myself back home to my parents' house because I just want to cry in my home, back in my bed, and my parents have all my animals right now, and I really miss them. I woke up yesterday. You know when you like wake up like in a weird spot or like something's different? I woke up and I was like, Teddy! And I went, oh, I'm on the floor in my empty bedroom with no animals, but it's okay. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I'm just trying to figure life out right now.
Oh, honey, yeah. I know that it's so unsettling, hon. I mean, oh my gosh, but that's like the epitome of working in LA in some respects, don't you think? That I mean,
it's part of it as I'm learning. This whole making it in LA thing has been quite a journey. I know you had a journey with this, but as you were going through it.
You know what I do? I remember that I always thought either my career was going good or my relationship was going good. And I would think, why can't they both be good at the same time?
Okay.
So yeah, I would feel extremely unsettled because I'd get out of a relationship or something. And you have those whether the relationships with a person or where you live, like you said, your apartment, your living conditions. And I remember I slept on my girlfriend's couch.
That was
for
me last night.
I slept on my girlfriend's couch for like 6 months, and
wow.
Luckily she was like, "Come on in." And
great girlfriends.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So that was right. So I mean, yeah, because I was again doing my career, but I didn't have a place to go to, and yeah, she opened up her couch, and I was gonna say to you too, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to take my barn. I really have thought of this, taking my barn because it's so beautiful and it's like 2 stories. I've thought of making an apartment in there.
I love that. I could bring in the chickens and the donkeys.
But you would love that.
I would. You know, I love the animals.
Oh.
You provided me with a fun. Well, I guess now it's funny looking back. Yesterday it wasn't so funny. But while I was moving, you know when you have like the iceberg, like the cherry on top that just like sets you off, like you're just trying to like keep going. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I was just trying to keep on going, get through the move, get my stuff out of the apartment and take it day by day. And as I was moving, I kept telling myself, when you're done moving, you're going to go get a big fat Diet Coke. I was so excited for this Diet Coke. I don't know why, but that was just like the thing I was fixated on that kept me going. finished moving. Everything was out of the apartment. Closed the door. I finally sat down. I was like, okay, bet. I get to go through a drive-thru and get a big old Diet Coke. I go to the Burger King drive-thru last night. It was Whopper Wednesday too. I get an Impossible Whopper with cheese, a small fry, and a Diet Coke. And then she hands me my Diet Coke in the drive-thru. And I was so excited for it. I had to put the straw in and start sipping it. And I sip it and it was off. I was like, I don't know if how the soda machines, it's like the syrup, but the syrup had to be replaced in the machine. And I was trying to tell the lady, the soda needs to be replaced, the syrup isn't right. And she's like, it's a Diet Coke. And I was like, no, I know you gave me the correct drink. It is a Diet Coke, but it's not you need to replace the syrup. And it was flat too. And I was trying to explain to her that the machine was off, or they needed to replace whatever they have to replace. And she's like, I gave you a Diet Coke, look. And then she refills it up, puts it back, and she's like, see, Diet Coke. And I'm just I was getting so frustrated because I've literally had the worst few days, and this was just my cherry on top. I was so frustrated. I was like, I know you gave me the correct drink, but I'm just trying to explain that there was no carbonation and that the syrup was not syruping, and she just did not get it. And then she handed it to me, the same flat Diet Coke, and I just start bawling my eye. I just start crying in the drive-thru, and this lady looks back and tells the cook, "This lady's crazy," and I was just there
oh my God.
She literally was like, this lady's crazy. She's crying because she didn't get a Diet Coke. And I'm just no, you just don't understand. I've just had an awful few days. And all I was looking forward to was a crispy, spicy Diet Coke. And I didn't get it. So if Diet Coke would like to send me Diet Coke, I would not complain. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to call that Burger King, because she was like, this lady's crazy, but it's okay. I'll just move on. But that was my day last night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then I texted my roommate, and I literally just not my room. I guess they're not my roommates anymore. Wow. But I go into my old roommate's apartment, and I'm just my eyes are bloodshot red. And they're like, what happened? And it was just I didn't get a Diet Coke.
Oh, honey. Well, you know what? How when we talk about, as I say, get back on the horse,
Yeah.
put your boots in the stirrups, that maybe you can look at it that was your final, as you said, your cherry on the iceberg, right? So now it's done, and it really was just a Diet Coke, and it's going to get better. Now it's going to get better. And how wonderful it is that you can go to your parents' place.
Yeah.
Imagine so many girls. How about talking about girls, because it's Stall Talk, so many people, but that come out and they don't even have their parents home to go to. And I know that you love your folks, and your dad's all there, and your animals will be there and all that.
Yeah,
So
I'm super grateful to have a place to go back home to.
Yeah, try to make
And
right.
a family that loves me and came out to help me move. My stepdad came and helped me get everything out, and my dad drove up to get my dogs and my frogs. So the support means everything.
See, you have your dogs, your frogs,
Yeah.
and you have us.
Thank
and
you.
you can come to my house too, and have one of my wine coolers.
Oh, I can't
right?
wait.
And visit with the as you call them, the fluffy chickens,
Yeah.
and the donkey and everything else, and we'll make it better.
Yeah,
We can make it better. That's what Stall Talk babes do for each other.
I agree. And speaking of our Stall Talk babes, we have a really special Stall Talk babe that you've never seen on the show before. And we're so excited to introduce this special person.
So stay tuned.
Let's please give a warm welcome to Mr. Larry Namer, the founder of E! Entertainment and our executive producer. Welcome to the Stall.
Well, it's my privilege to be here among all you Stall Talk babes. So
We're excited to have you here. So, as you know, Larry, I'm 27 years old. I'm a building entrepreneur. And looking at you and your journey, I mean, you were in your 20s when you came out to LA and you were working with the cable network. And then in your 30s, you started E! Entertainment. Could you take us back to that specific moment of what you were feeling when you started E! Entertainment?
sure, I mean, it was quite unusual because there was never a TV network that was started by a person or people. It was all started by big media companies. Even to this day, it's the only one ever started by like people who were not part of like Fox or Time Warner or
Yeah.
anything like that. So, you know, it was, even though Alan and I just knew that it was going to be, you know, what it turned out to be, it was hard to convince other people. That we kept hearing, you're not Rupert Murdoch, you're not Ted Turner, you can't, people just don't start TV networks. And Alan and I were just not smart enough to listen, so we just kept going.
Would you say being a little bit Delulu helped you in getting there?
Oh, totally. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no question. I mean, I actually, we did probably over 100 pitches for money. And even in one of them, the guy came in and looked at the business plan and said, who sent me this piece of garbage? And literally threw the business plan at my head. And he and I just went back and forth, like screaming at each other for 15 minutes. And after all that, he goes, okay, I get it. I'm in. And I'm like, really? I mean, the whole process is just really crazy. But
So, what sort of mindset does it take to continue to push forward? Like, what did some of the pressures look like for you during this time?
well, I mean, I was down to, I think, about $60 in the bank, so that was a little bit of pressure. But again, Alan and I, we just knew it was the early days of cable networks, and you know, MTV had just kind of hit the scene, and you know, we just looked at it and said, "This is MTV of the movies." Or Entertainment Tonight 24 hours a day. So we were kind of locked into what it was going to be if we could only get a few dollars to do it.
There's a lot that can get in the way, and I think specifically for me speaking, a lot of like internal stuff that comes up that's like, oh my gosh, am I even capable of doing this? So the fact that you were able to push through is very, very remarkable. So Larry, what would you say has been the number one mindset or mantra that you've been able to tell yourself in navigating entrepreneurship?
Well, I mean, for us, it was kind of interesting. And I think we learned really early on not to believe your publicity either way. I mean, people say good about you, they say bad about you. At the end of the day, it really doesn't make any difference. It's really what you feel about yourself and stuff. And again, Alan and I were just totally focused. We knew we were on the right track. And, you know, and we had plenty of detractors, and then we had plenty of people who loved it and stuff. And we were just very kind of real about it. And we just knew that if we could only get to a certain point, then we could kind of put it over the top. And, you know, by accident, we actually raised a little bit of money, and we brought in interns from University of Texas. And what people don't realize, because he is a monster now. I mean, it's up 142 countries and valued at about $7 billion and stuff, you know, which for me is kind of funny. But, you know, our investors were thrilled. They put $2.5 million in, and the company's worth a heck of a lot more. And we made a lot of people's careers. But the real thing I think that really made E different is Alan and I, we just never took Hollywood seriously. I mean, you know, you look at the shows from Talk Soup. You know, when we came up with that, people going, you want to do a TV show that makes fun of TV shows? And we're like, yeah, exactly. You know, and Talk Soup ran 26 years, and then Howard Stern, and, you know, more recently, obviously, Kardashians and stuff like that. So we knew what we wanted to do. We just had to figure out how we're going to possibly execute it.
Would you say it was helpful to have a partner in building that with versus doing it alone?
Absolutely. And Alan and I make great partners because I've always kind of shied away from being Hollywood.
Yeah.
And Alan was Mr. Hollywood. So Alan would be out at the right restaurants every night and, you know, dating starlets and doing all that kind of stuff. And, you know, so I was the inside guy and Alan was the outside guy. And it just worked perfectly. And well, I think what's unusual is that Alan and I have stayed close for a long time now. And, you know, and it's kind of funny, the people we go back with. The other day I was at a gifting suite and I ran into Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I haven't seen Whoopi in 20-something years, but we all go back to, like, living in Laurel Canyon and, you know, when just all kinds of funny stuff.
Crazy. So, Larry, I know that you're sitting down with us today because of the release of your new book, Off Script. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Why are you telling this story now?
People have been after me to write the book for quite a while. And I've always shied away. I said, look, I'm not ready to write a last chapter yet. I still got a lot of crazy ideas. And but then actually a year ago, my daughter had a baby. And so now I got a little grandbaby. And I'm going, you know what? Maybe it'll be good for the little baby to kind of have something to remember
Yeah.
grandpa, or, and the crazy stuff that he's done and stuff, because he's just one of the crazy parts of my life. So, I mean, that was kind of the motivation. And then I still couldn't figure out what I wanted to be in the book. But somebody pointed out to me that if you really look at my life, it's kind of every 7 years I reinvent myself. I just become a whole different person. It's my Brooklyn years, my Manhattan cable years, my Valley cable years, my E years, Russia, China. But I've always been an avid cook, and that's actually my passion, is cooking. And I just said I could write the anecdotes of things that happened during those periods and then match them with the recipes that inspired me. And I said, actually, that's kind of cool. I'll do that one. And it took about 3 months to write the book, which is not a long time.
Not a long time.
It took 20 years for me to decide to write the book, but then
Yeah.
3 months to write the book.
So I know you said every 7 months there's like a massive involvement and you change and you shift. Do you think that this shift is intentional, or do you think it's just something that has happened organically throughout your career?
Well, 7 years, not 7 months. 7 months is a
7
little too
years.
tight. But
Yeah.
I maybe it's some rare form of ADD or something, but I just get bored. I mean, even with E, people go, "Oh, how could you leave there?" And I just said, I just got bored with it. I mean, I always kid around. I go, "Well, how many Kardashians could you possibly do before you get tired?" But the company grew so big, and I consider myself a creative. And the company just grew so big, I found myself mainly in boardrooms and budgets and, doing all the stuff that I didn't like. And then finally I just said, let me hire someone to do the day-to-day stuff, and I'll go off and do international. And that's kind of what I did.
Incredible. So it's mostly maybe stemming from you wanting to expand outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I mean, totally.
Yeah.
I continually find stuff that's out of my comfort zone. I mean, when I went into Russia, people saying, Larry, you're going to get killed. It's the Russian mafia and all of that. We had a big TV show in Russia for a whole bunch of years. And, then after we did that, I said, okay, where could I really go for a challenge? So I said, let me go to a country that I've never been to with a language I don't speak and a culture that I don't understand. So I decided to go off to China. And we've had a very successful company in China.
Speaking of crazy stories, looking at your book, what is your favorite lesson or story that you think women out there listening who are maybe aspiring entrepreneurs or wanting to make it in the industry, what is a story or a lesson that you think would resonate deeply with them if they were to read your book?
Well, I think, for me, and I always give this advice to entrepreneurs, men and women,
Yeah.
is everybody keeps pushing you to go follow your passion, follow your passion. Well, if I followed my passion, I'd be like cooking in the back of a restaurant somewhere. Reality of life takes over eventually. You got to pay the rent, you got to eat. If you have kids, you got to educate the kids. So if your passion, even though you're really passionate about it, if you can't look at it and say, okay, I could get to a point where this could be more than self-sustaining, but actually provide me with the economics to create the lifestyle that I want, then you're probably better off not following your passion. Find something that you're good at. And I would say find something you're good at and just work the hell out of it until you become great at it. And then typically it becomes your passion.
This is a tough question because I know there's a lot of women out there who might have a dream to be or make it in the industry, and maybe it's just not realistic. So the fact that you were able to build obviously such a successful conglomerate, but now also find ways to play with your passion through this book and cooking is freaking awesome. I'm curious, how do you think that the industry has evolved for women, and what are some of the changes that you think still need to be?
Well, I think it's changed a lot. I mean, when I got involved, it was very rare that you see a woman in let's call it C-suite or, in high executive production and things. That's changed pretty dramatically. It's not where it needs to be. I mean, it still has a long way to go, but it's clearly changed and improved. But then I think if you look at things like the changes in technology, the changes in the geography, Hollywood is not really a geographic place anymore. It's a level of creativity, it's a level of quality and stuff, but you could be anywhere and make a movie. And where before you needed to get the big sound stages and expensive cameras, I mean, you could take your cell phone now and go out and make a movie, and if you have talent and the perseverance to market it. Making the movies are easy, marketing them is hard. So It's really up to you. I mean, a lot of people have great ideas, but they don't realize the work ethic that needs to be involved there. And work ethic is probably 70% of the equation. Talent is only about 30.
Yeah, marketing it is a completely different beast in itself.
Yeah.
I know, Larry, that one woman gave you a piece of advice that might have changed your life. Do you mind sharing what that piece of advice was?
Which one is that? Oh, my mother?
Maybe.
Well, my mom always used to, my mother kind of beat humility into me and stuff, and being humble and how to approach, let's say, cultures or countries that you didn't necessarily come from. And when my dad passed and my mother moved to Florida, I would go and visit and go, hey, Mom, today I want to go for Italian food at 8 o'clock. And she'd go, no, we're going to deli at 5:30. And I'm going, well, I don't eat at 5:30. And her answer would be like, you're a guest in my house. If you don't like the rules, go stay somewhere else. And that's kind of the way, people say, how do you navigate Russia and China and stuff? And it's basically based on that. I'm a guest in their house. I'm not there to change their government or their life or anything. I'm there to entertain them and hopefully put a smile on their face before they go to sleep.
How do you think that piece of advice could relate to aspiring female entrepreneurs listening at home?
Well, I think, again, with the media business becoming a global business now, you're not just going to be doing stuff in Hollywood or in the U.S. where you're comfortable and stuff like that. You're going to be going to other countries and stuff, and you really have to learn how to navigate that environment and deal with the difference in work style and business styles and stuff like that. And again, realize what you're there for. It's not to change their civilization. You're there to make something that people are going to watch and hopefully like.
Super helpful. And I think that also relates to even here in the U.S., in L.A., just working with different personalities and organizations.
Yeah, it's like I say, technology has changed so dramatically that it makes the ability for people with talent to create stuff. So you have to be able to use that and then really get into the whole issue of how do you make it sustainable? Because if you can't figure out how to make money with it and at least get it to break even, you're going to, decide that paying the rent was more important.
Larry, thank you so much. And today we are so excited. We are going to be doing something a little bit different. It's called Stall Talk Interview Hot Seat, where our cast and crew will be asking Larry some of the questions we've been dying to know.
Hey guys, it's Cass stepping into the stall with Larry. I have a couple questions for you.
Go ahead.
So, since you were working on E! Entertainment, what are some celebrities that you met during your time there that you were excited to meet or work with?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, obviously with Talk Soup, we kind of did everything. And then Howard Stern, of course. Mark DiCarlo, who went on to do Studs, and Katie Wagner did Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. And but we met just about everybody in Hollywood. The good thing about E! was we really didn't need anything, and we helped a lot of people's careers. So like even to this day, I'm still friends with like a lot of people from back there because we just helped people, and a lot of people remember it and they show the gratitude.
I've noticed that whenever we hang out, I always see that you have all these different people that come up to you that remember you from back in the day, and I think that's super cool. My next question is, when you started the Kardashians, did you think it was going to be a household name from the beginning, or was that later on that you realized
No, that was later on. I mean, I know the girls literally since their baby, and actually some of them before they were born. But Alan and I were actually partners with Chris, and Chris would always say she wanted to do a show with the girls, and I was like, Chris, let them get a little bit older and stuff like that. And it was one of those things where you kind of had an inkling, but you in a million years you couldn't imagine how much they blew up. And I credit a lot to the mom. I credit a lot to Chris because she really instilled that drive in those girls and stuff. And obviously they've done quite well.
They sure have. Chris is my spirit animal. And you guys know me, it wouldn't be a hot seat with Cass if I didn't ask a little bit of a spicy question. What is one of the most wildest nights or dates that you've had while being out in Hollywood?
Oh, God. Being a single guy in Hollywood, I always have the PR companies constantly, you got to take this actress to the Academy Awards, you got to do that. Most of them have just been horrible dates and stuff, where I really didn't have anything to relate to. But now that looking back on it, I kind of dated the who's who of the modeling world and the actress world and stuff like that. And I don't want to tell bad stories about any of them.
Aw, how nice of you. Maybe one day we'll get into it.
That's
Thank
the
you
next
so
book,
much.
actually. Yeah.
That's all for me. We'll see the next Stall Talk Babe in the hot seat.
So it's Jenny Lee Harrison, and I'm in the hot seat. So, Mr. Namer, I've known you for like 25 years, and we've never worked together, but now we are. How do you feel about that? And be nice.
Well, it's hard to be nice, but no, it's quite interesting. We have a funny relationship for a long, long time and stuff. And I actually like your donkey more than I like you, but other than that, we're fine.
Really, even when I was having terrible times there with fires and everything else, you didn't. You texted me, and it wasn't asking about me. It was asking about
the donkey.
The donkey. That yeah.
Well, actually, my greatest accomplishment is this comedy that I wrote in China, and I used your donkey to be the narrator of the comedy. So yeah, I owe you.
I know you sent up our whole crew to my stall.
Yep.
But now you're in the stall with us. And so I do have to say this, that I adore you because you're brilliant and you're creative. But what I so admire about you is that you continue to just look forward and keep going with such energy and thoughtfulness and enthusiasm. And so, I don't know, I'm really getting a lot of joy because you seem like you're smiling more these days. And I have to think it's about Stall Talk, right?
Absolutely, it's about Stall Talk, yeah. It never ceases to amaze me, the stuff that comes out of your guys' mouth.
So you said there's a lot of crazy things that you've heard on the show. What's the craziest?
Well, I get the biggest kick out of just listening to cast talk and the fact that I have to go and look up half the words on internet to find out what it was she was trying to say. But
Exactly.
getting a better understanding of I've always been curious that you go out with a bunch of couples and one woman says I got to go to the restroom and then all you guys get up and go and the guys are sitting there for 15 minutes going, where are they? What are they talking about in there? And now I'm getting to learn what it is you guys have been talking about.
So thank you. And we'll see who's next up in the hot seat.
Hi Larry, just hanging out at One Hotel. Sorry I couldn't be there. When making business deals, do you follow your intuition or is it more of a logical, pragmatic way of being?
Good question. It's kind of a mixture. I mean, growing up, in Brooklyn, essentially being a street kid and stuff, I've developed a good sense of how to judge people and stuff. So I go into most business deals basically working on my intuition and my hunches.
Hey, I'm Alice, one of the Stall Talk interns. I have a question I've written down to ask you. Larry, you've worked with some of the most influential figures in the entertainment industry. How do you think Kris Jenner's approach to branding and media management has shaped the way celebrity culture is portrayed today?
Well, I think, I adore Kris, and I think Kris has really been the brains behind the whole Kardashians phenomenon and stuff. She's been getting those girls ready to get out in the world literally since they're babies and stuff. And, you just look at it. I mean, there's a lot of criticism of the Kardashians and stuff, but you look at it and you have this whole family are all billionaires or close to it and stuff. So, and I attribute most of that to Kris's influence on it. And she's done an amazing job.
She's the momager.
She is for sure.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm one of the Stall Talk interns. And hi, Larry. As a university student at USC, I am overwhelmed with all the opportunities in film and entertainment. So I'm so excited to ask you, how do you handle creative burnout?
That's a really good question because I burn out a lot. You're right, there are just so many opportunities there. I just like to do more than one thing at a time. so that when I kind of feel like I'm slowing down on one project, I could immediately switch into something else and then come back to it. So it's basically, for me, it's been multitasking. People say, how do you handle dealing with so many projects at once? And it's really what lets me continue to be as creative as I can be. And then as soon as I feel that little slowdown, I just move on to the next, and then I'll come back to it.
Following up, how do you ensure quality in every single one of your sectors or projects?
Slow Talk is a good example, because if you look at podcasting, people typically take a camera and they put it in their bedroom and they put a lamp over their head. This is quite different. I've always been that whenever you have new technology, people are very forgiving about production quality at the beginning, but as you go further and further into it, their eye and their brain expects more. So my thing is always, rather than start at the low end, even though it's more economical, know where it's going and then ensure it. Then, here we have good audio and good lighting, and we're shooting with 4K cameras and stuff like that. So there are very basics that will give you a certain level of quality. You got to make sure the basics are all in place before you really begin to shoot.
It's Rachel, the director-producer behind Stall Talk. I'm in the hot seat today. I was one of Larry's interns, and that's how I got my start, which was amazing. Larry, I'm curious, as somebody I think as high profile as you, it's pretty uncommon to actually value a lot of the younger generation and what they have to offer when it comes to entertainment industry, starting us so young. What do you see the value in Gen Z?
Well, I think clearly it's the future. I mean, they're the audiences that I think traditional media finds hard to find those folks. But I think if you really pay attention and you talk to them and you figure out what it is that interests them, what devices they're using, what their typical time that they'll spend on any piece of content. I've always really been into interns. I mean, people don't realize that he started with 11 employees and 31 interns and stuff. And that's what let us really be relevant to the audience and stuff, because we always had just a whole bunch of smart kids around us that would kind of guide us through and stuff. And even in my company in China, the same way. I mean, my writer room there is actually 7 women.
Wow.
I just have this theory that Chinese guys are not funny, and I do a lot of comedy-related stuff there. It just keeps you relevant. It keeps you in tune with where the world is going. I've always been about where are we going as opposed to where have we been. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of it.
That's a great answer. And I think when it comes to Stall Talk, even executive producing behind the show itself, I think it's amazing how you really prioritize women, also cast and crew at the forefront.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it was my relationship with my mom, but I've always been more comfortable working with women. Men, I find men get too competitive and get into the corporate BS and stuff, and I've just found that it's easier to work with women. And particularly, my sense of humor is a little bit offbeat. It's not traditional. And like in China, like I say, 7 women writers and stuff, and my sense of humor is silly. And guys don't like to be silly. Women are much more open-minded to trying new things and being silly.
I'm curious, why do you think that is?
I wish I had an answer, but no, it just is, and it's always been that way for me. And most of the time, I just end up with women executives. And I mean, I think we were at 70% of the executives were women there.
Wow.
And it was just, we created an environment that women were comfortable in. And I do attribute a lot of that to me. It's like, it was my environment. So then when openings would happen, those women would tell their friends and other women, like, oh, there's a job opening and it's a great place to work. So it just, over time, we just became kind of a women-dominated company.
I love to hear it. And we're on Stall Talk. It's a perfect place for that. And I feel like as women, too, we find sometimes comfortability in our vulnerability. And working in entertainment, I mean, to even put a pitch out there, you have to kind of be in a very comfortable space with yourself to even propose.
Yeah, I say you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You're going to get more rejection than you get affirmation. I mean, when we look for the money to get I mean, we pitched over 100 people before we finally found someone willing to give us even a little bit of money and stuff. But yeah, you know, and people tell you this is a bad idea, a stupid idea, you're not smart enough to do it and stuff. And you just have to realize their opinions really don't matter. It's what your opinion of yourself is.
And that's a great way to end this segment. Thank you, Stall Babes, and thank you so much for joining us for this interview with Larry Namer. I'll take it away and hand it over to one of our co-hosts to join us.
And it's Skylar. That was an awesome interview, Hot Seat. Larry, thank you so much. Did you have fun?
It was a lot of fun.
We love our babes.
That we do.
And we love you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
So we just spoke to Larry Namer. That was exciting, huh?
We did. That was so much fun to have the very first guy on Stall Talk.
In the bathroom.
Love it.
I think it's really cool too because we all interact like on the show and outside of the show together. So I think it's fun, like the audience being able to like see all of the people that are involved in it and in our daily lives. I thought it was really fun.
And just with one guy.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about being on Stall Talk yourself, Sky?
Oh my gosh, you guys. I am just so grateful to be here. And I also feel like we've created this amazing family. And literally, like, even going to the Oscars event with like Cass and Rach, like we went into the bathroom and we were like taking content together, like in the stalls. And it's so funny to see other women's like experiences of seeing all of us together. And we've just become so tight. Like, even after going out to the Oscars, we went to like Barney's Beanery.
Yeah, I even showed her one of my regular spots that I like to go out and like decompress. I was like, girl, we gotta go to a dive bar.
Yes.
Because, you know, we're doing all this like Hollywood stuff, like the Oscars and all that stuff. But after, I'm just like, I just want to go to a dive bar and get some fucking fried pickles.
Love
and
it.
like an AMF. Like, that is the perfect way to end the night. And I was like, Sky, I gotta bring you to my spa so we can just kick it. And it was really fun.
And like we went all dressed up, like in our gowns.
Yes,
and like,
right after.
girl, and we met some boys.
Yeah, that was fun. Skylar's getting back on the dating scene. If there's any takers.
Did you tell them about Stall Talk, where they
We
could
did.
watch you?
They were like, you guys look stunning.
They're like, where did you just come from? We're like, oh, like, you know, just like the
Oscars,
Oscars.
it's
and that.
fine.
No
They're
big
fine.
deal. And I'm just like, I just wanted some fried pickles and some nachos and just to be able to kick it after that.
You know what? My favorite part about it is that I've been, you know, working in show business for like 40 years. And I'm so excited about this show because I feel like I'm surrounded by my best friends doing it.
Yeah.
And my whole career, it's like I just felt like it was just me. I'm out there and I'm out there doing it, promoting myself, working and all that. And with you guys, I always feel like someone has my back, my forward, my sideways, and we just look at each other across the room and stuff. It's so wonderful to think that, you know, we could still work in showbiz and create something, but have this, like you talk so much, Cass, about your sorority. And I feel like this is the tightest, closest little sorority group.
And
right?
it's like multi-generational. It's
Thank you. Thank you very much for pointing that out once again. Exactly. Thank you, Cass.
Where we come from all
all walks of life.
Oh, girlfriend, poop on you. Oh my
No,
God.
Jenny Lee, we like literally, you were the mama bear.
cool on.
Like, so grateful for both of you ladies. And we've been through so much together, like even beyond the screen. Like, oh my gosh, massive like life transitions, the fires,
You almost
breakups.
got hit by a car
Bro.
walking into the studio.
It's family.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I had a really rough few days and I didn't want to leave my home, and now I'm here and I was like, I don't want anybody to see me because my eyes are puffy and I haven't stopped crying. But now that I'm here, I'm just like, oh, it's nice to be with my people.
So
love
you do?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
really nice.
baby.
I have the
appreciate having you
chills.
guys.
Love you.
Yeah, I like when I first like walked in here, I was like crying and I just like held
Yes.
Jenny Lee and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going through it. But it's really nice to be here and surrounded by the girls.
But
I
that's
love.
what like Stall Talk is about. Like, we've got each other, and this is where we can have real talk, and like real shit happens. But at the end of the day, like, we're here to help each other through it.
Can I tell you guys a fun fact?
Tell us.
Yes.
So I remember the first day I met Larry.
Tell us.
And I was shaking in my boots. I was so intimidated. Literally, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the man, the myth, the legend, all of the above. I was just there like, oh my gosh, like you're here to like listen to me talk. I was like, I just want to know about like you. But I was so intimidated, and now I'm just like, oh, he's like the cool uncle. Now that I'm like learning his personality and how he is and his stories, especially through reading his book, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he been in the streets too.
Yeah.
Oh, Larry was in
There
the
was in the book, when I was reading it, there was this sentence and it said the streets, and I literally just like underlined it, and I was like, oh yeah. Larry's one of us.
His stories are insane.
They're really cool. It's been so fun to read.
And what I so admire about him, and because I know him real well, but yeah, he came from very humble beginnings, you know, in New York, and then he's risen to the top of the entertainment industry. But as you guys see, he's totally down to earth.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, so he's totally down to earth. He's really loves now that he's a grandpa.
He's obsessed with him. It's so cute.
I
Watching
think
him in his
it's-
grandpa era.
It's like super rare to find men, especially in this industry, who are so humble, who are so down to earth, and actually want to empower women. And the fact that he is, I mean, like he's propelling this out into the world, that is rare.
Yeah.
And
I'm
also,
grateful to
I
be a part
have
of
to
it.
tell you, again, I've known him. I've been around him for 25 years, and I see all these people hanging around him or coming to know him, but I don't know one person that's ever worked for him because he's also very extremely particular and picky and everything else about the projects that he does choose to do. And when he does it, it's like, it's
A real
huge.
thing.
But the fact that he chose all of us. So all of us were chosen, you know, by him to
chosen
do
ones.
this. We're the chosen
I still pinch
ones,
myself every day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
me? I'm like, I'm just a regular girl from this small town. And he was like, and I was like, wow.
But
So
that's-
then every day I'm just like, oh, he always makes me feel so special. But also just because I feel like he actually like cares what we have to say. And it's so interesting, especially because he's a man too, just like him being so open to hearing like all of our stories and what we have to say. And I feel like he genuinely respects our insight.
And
Yeah.
Larry does. He's so great with the up and comers. So he does value, and because you girls, even when he's out and about many times, he has some young college student or something that's following him and learning. And so he's very much into giving back and to helping the youth propel in this industry. So again, a lot of things to admire about him, but also to admire about us, because here we are doing Stall Talk
I think
together.
it's exciting that we had a boy in the stall today.
Oh, I liked it.
Oh, I'm always
liked
down
it.
for that.
We should bring another one in
I
sometime.
agree too.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder who though.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to stay tuned and find out.
Yeah. So thank you, Sky, and all the questions that you had and everybody having from being in the hot seat. I think it was fantastic.
Trending up, trending down.
What?
Hey guys, it's Trending Up and Trending Down. I'm so excited for this week's topic. Legally Blonde is coming back and they've casted Elle. You can find her audition tape online. Tell me what you guys think. Let's talk about it in the comments. That's all from me for Trending Up and Trending Down. Bye guys.
Another great episode of Stall Talk. So thanks, all you Stall Talk babes, and watch for another episode.
Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on all our social media platforms. That's all from us. We'll see you later. Bye guys.
Bye.